So of course that helps, but you know, the negative comments is always what sticks out. And it's always that's, you know, keeping you up at night. So I think it's just about, you know, knowing, but I also think just being in a, you know, an influencer where you're really open about things, it kind of leaves room for you to fail. Like, of course, I don't want to come across like someone who has it all together, because I don't.
Yeah.
So it's just finding the balance between like being that real person and expressing your ideas and having to, you know, kind of have thick skin. Like you can't let everything get to you.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but it's like important. So.
Yeah. And so would you say there's any involvement of that in your podcast name? Like, where does the thick and the thin come from?
The thick, yes. People ask me this all the time. They're like, okay, so like, is the thick the bad and the thin is the good? And like, truthfully, yes. I mean, if you look up the phrase, that's kind of what it's all about. There's like a whole like, you know, story behind it, but it's so true. Yeah, my podcast name kind of was born from me going through the highs and lows of life and chronicling it and talking about it in great detail. Like every date I go on, every like little thing, like when I was working at my corporate job, like every time I was super frustrated at work, I would just podcast about it, and people like it because it's something that, you know, no one else, I mean, I try to strike a balance between complaining, because no one wants to hear someone complain for 45 minutes. But I also try to like, because there's things that just people don't talk about. So
I think you do a good job of like identifying the things that are frustrating, but then having a positive approach of how to handle it. And then I think that's where people are like, yes, okay, yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's do that.
Exactly. No, exactly.
So they leave probably pretty motivated. So
yeah,
since you've been in quarantine, are you surviving?
I'm surviving with a lot of this.
I feel you on that.
I didn't realize how much of a person that's in society I am. Like I didn't realize, like I love being home, but I didn't realize how much I actually love being outside until now.
Yeah. And
like, I don't know about you.
When I've seen, I'm a homebody. I love socializing, but like when I've seen someone out that I know, I feel like my whole body comes over this like adrenaline high, and I'm like, oh my God, a person.
It's like a dog.
It's like an
actual dog.
Yeah. I'm so happy. I'm like, I miss human interaction, and you forget like how much you thrive off of that.
The energy. It's a real energy difference for sure. I think people, like, when this is over, people are going to be so different in society. Like I'm even thinking like interactions, like people are just going to be kinder, I think, for, you know, the months to follow this.
I know, I hope so. I live in Los Angeles, and it's well, you live in New York. It's a tough city. Yeah. So how have you been staying motivated? I know we were supposed to talk more so about fashion, but as much as I love fashion, I also like inspiring other people. And I know that both of our followers and, you know, well, everyone around the country are stuck in quarantine right now, and it can be pretty challenging on our mental health and just
at all. So
we were designing like our fall collection, and actually like went through samples with our production designer at my apartment like 6 feet away yesterday, and we were going through different like color trends and stuff, and I'm like, light tan, dark brown, literally that's it.
It never goes out of style. Like neutrals will never go out of style.
No,
like, ever.
Let's see. They have some questions for you. So Katy, what is your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job.
I'm getting my charger. I'm listening.
Okay. You're excused. Favorite part of my job, I'd say there's just so many things, but I think I would say it's a kind of a dual thing. It's like, number one, my favorite part is that, you know, it's ever changing. No day looks the same as the previous or the next. And at my corporate job, the days kind of started blending together and just felt like I've lived the same day. It was like Groundhog Day, but like at my corporate job, which I loved. You know, my corporate job was great. It was such an amazing job. And like, you know, much love to all of those people that do that. But I am just a very creative person, and I just did not thrive doing that. So I guess that would be like one thing. Also, just like making things for people and seeing their reaction is just it's just a million times worth all the hard work that I put in. It's seeing people so either fulfilled or happy with something I make for them. That is just, it makes it so worth it. I'm sure like the same goes for you, Demi. Like, you know, anything you create and seeing people so happy and just like living their life to the full because of something that you did. Like it's just so
yeah,
amazing.
like all the people that get tattoos with your font.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean,
You
that's
guys,
the best.
people get tattoos with Katy's font on their body.
There's like 40-ish people out there with my writing on them somehow.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. For you guys that like branding and font calligraphy, that you need to go check out her page because she has amazing calligraphy.
It's a mouthful.
Calligraphy skills. Like, so talented. I wish I could draw like that. My handwriting is chicken scratch.
Mine is when I write really fast.
Yeah,
you just slow down.
It's bad. Okay. How do you separate work time from home time when, yeah. How do you separate work time from, I'd say, like, how do you have balance?
How do I balance? I mean, like you said, just kind of like at a certain point, putting my phone away. Like, you know, it's different every day because some days, I mean, like I said, it's like my days look so different. So some days will be lighter days and some days will be heavier days, like when there's like a deadline or something. So I think it's just about knowing, this is just something that I constantly come back to. It's you can do anything, but you can't do everything. There comes a time where, you know, you're at that point of the day where you're like, nothing I'm writing is making sense. Like none of my email, you know, I'm like sending typos. I need to like, my work is becoming the quality of what I'm putting out is affected by just my exhaustion right now. So I think it's just really knowing yourself and knowing what works for you. Like for me, sleeping in is my thing. I sleep in until I don't get out of bed till 10, which is like late for many people. And I stay up until 2. Like that's just my like how I work best. I don't work till 2, but like that's just like my like conscious time that I should be conscious in the world. And that's just what works for me. So just find what works for you and really stick to it and like be a good manager of yourself, which is hard.
Yeah, I think it's good to tap out sometimes. I think I personally have the superhero syndrome where I think I can handle everything. And then I'm like, stop.
That's a good way to put it.
Let someone else do that. And 2, like turn it off for a little bit. But balance is very challenging, especially in this day and age when everything's online and in our hands and everyone wants everything right now.
Like now. And I'm like, guys, relax. Yeah. I only have 2 hands.
Yeah. Amazon has set the way. That's for sure.
Right. It's like training people that like you can get it now.
Instantly. Yeah.
And I'm so guilty of it. Like when something, I don't know if you feel this way, but when like a browser takes an extra 5 seconds to load, like it's the end of the world.
Open new browser, load
right?
faster.
Same here. I'm the same way. So
yeah. Okay, let's see. We have a few more. So how do you go about getting new clients?
New clients. So what's lucky about being an influencer is I have a platform, which is really nice because people will, from basically just word of mouth, people will tell their friends about, you know, what I create, and people DM me like so many DMs a day about like, can we work on this together, blah, blah, blah. But I think just, you know, what I've seen I have a lot of friends that are freelancers as well and don't have influencer presences and get work, you know, just as frequently. And I think it's truly word of mouth and just pitching yourself, I think, is really important. It's hard to pitch yourself because you know you're put in a position
and sell yourself,
right? Yeah, and it's like, but
even when you have like zero confidence about because you haven't done anything for anyone ever,
right? Yeah. It's like how do you, and then you feel that element of imposter syndrome, and you're like, I'm not good enough. Just get that out of your head. Because
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. And also if everyone feels imposter syndrome, like literally everyone does. And if, you know, some people, like the greats of our world that create the most amazing things, if they let that stop them, we would not have everything that we have. So like, you know, just get that out of your head. And you have to pitch yourself. You have to DM people. You have to, I mean, what I did when I was first even looking for a job was going on LinkedIn, finding people in my industry and DMing or, you know, private messaging them and saying like, can we set up a coffee, or could we set up just a phone call? Can I have 15 minutes of your time?
Yeah.
That's all you need. Have a stacked portfolio of things you make, even if it's for no one, you know, even if it's not for a job, just like make something cool that shows your work ethic and your talents, and then just send people a PDF. Like, here's what I make. Like, I even have just a specific vision of how you can transform what they already do.
Yeah.
that speaks volumes.
I think that's
So.
actually a really good idea too, especially as a creative. Fortunately, like your work speaks really high volumes. So if you are trying to get a new client and you see someone you want to maybe do their branding or their creative or social for, go and take their brand and create your own like vision with it and present it to them. Because I can say from an employer standpoint, someone did that for me and it was in line with my brand, I'd be like, you're on.
It's easy because you don't have to train. You don't have to like tell them anything. It's like they already went. It's all about going the extra mile. I think,
and
which
showing
is
you're hungry. Like,
yeah,
there's so many people right now not employed, and it's gonna be challenging, and you have to stand out. And like as maybe 2010 this is, but like pick up the phone if you have to. Give someone a call and be like, hey, I'm looking for da da da. I sent over like a message and I want to follow up, whatever it might be. If you're very passionate about that particular client, it's not, crazy. Like when I first started 12th Tribe, so I moved down to LA and I was like, I'm going to dress all these girls for Coachella. No one knew about 12th Tribe. And I was like emailing all these colleges, trying to pitch myself. Like, I'm the coolest place to shop. Meanwhile, I've never had a customer in LA ever. And you have to be so confident in yourself and trust that when you get one person and you show them how amazing you are, that word of mouth that Katy's talking about is going to go miles, and it's going to that's going to be your number one driver.
Yeah. And it's all about, like you said, just, you fake it till you make it, which I think, it's become such a cliche thing, but it's because it's so important. It's like, you have to believe that you can do this thing. And then your belief in yourself will become so just contagious.
Yeah.
That people just want to know what you're up to. Like,
for sure.
And it translates into everything you do.
So one thing that I did when I first started 12th Tribe is, I'm gonna sound like a weirdo, but I used to write out like my vision of what I wanted in like the present tense basically, and I'd be like, I own the most successful clothing company in the country and I'm in Vogue for, like, I made like a whole vision of what I wanted, but I wrote it in a way that made me have it. And it just
law of attraction.
Yeah.
It's law of attraction.
Yes, law of attraction. For those of you that don't know what
that.
law of attraction is, that's what law of attraction is. But yeah, that's super helpful. Okay, there's 47 questions. Let me go through a few more. I'm gonna stop talking.
Got some curious people out there.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for someone who wants to create a podcast?
Just do it, honestly.
I was just gonna say, just
it's
do
like
it.
right? You're just the thing is there's really, of course, find cover art. That's like probably the first and only, come up with a name. But honestly, like if you're creating something amazing, no one's really gonna care what the cover art and the name are. Like, you just kind of have to just do it. You're not gonna be fully ready. Like my first podcast, I'm embarrassed listening to it. Like you're never gonna be fully ready to start something, and you just gotta like just do it, honestly.
Yeah, and you'll learn as you go. It's like, like talking on lives or even just like doing speeches and stuff like that. You're gonna trip up at first, but the more you do it, the more fluid it becomes.
Yeah, completely.
Do you ever feel out of creative ideas?
I feel like some of my ideas are more creative than other ideas. I feel like I don't, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm not like extremely happy with how that video turned out, or this, like, I don't have anything to talk about on the podcast this week. Mm-hmm. But I think whenever I do kind of have like a writer's block situation, but with like, everything I do, I think I lean on my followers a lot. I ask people, I just, even just talk to my parents. Like being home has been nice because I'm like, Dad, like what do you like think about this? And then like someone else will kind of feed you something that turns into a creative idea. So I think it's just, lean on other people, look outside of yourself.
For sure.
For those ideas.
What about like when you don't have your parents around, or when you're in your apartment by yourself?
Oh, by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
because like I started my company by myself, and that was one of the challenges, was like not having anyone to talk to about the ideas I had. So like you said, when you have someone else talking about the ideas, they turn into bigger and better ideas.
Yeah, I think don't be afraid to ask for help. That's something I'm really bad at, like really bad. I'm like, I think I can do everything on my own.
Yeah.
And I like, even if I was like, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease last summer, and I for like the first, you know, several, like the week of it like happening, I like didn't tell anyone slash like was like really downplaying it. Like I'm so like that. And I was like hospitalized for a week. So like know when you need to ask for help, even if it's just pitching an idea. Like I have a really supportive group chat of friends that I'll just like throw something in and I'm like, hey guys, what do you, like I have a little piece of an idea and I'm like, what do you guys think about this? And you'd be surprised how you get the ball rolling that way. I mean, we're in such an age where there is a way for you to easily reach out to other people. It's, you know, through texting, social media, whatever. So, you know, lean on that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. How would you recommend I start journaling? I often write in my journal, but want to make more creative spreads like you do, and I'm wondering the best way to start. Oh God, I like dream to be able to do spreads like Katy. I don't
Pinterest.
Oh, where to start?
Go on Pinterest.
What?
Go on Pinterest, you know, just like the thing is though, you don't want to like
spreads are like where you're writing all over the page, right? And making it look so beautiful.
I mean, it can like vary. Some people like more white space. I like have to fill like every little space of the
Can
page.
you like show? Do you have it on your like available to show like what it looks like so people know what you're talking about?
Oh, my journals? Yeah. I like can pull it up on my computer. I basically, so like the thing is though, you have to be careful because you don't want to look up too much inspiration because then you end up just like copying someone and like that's not the point of a journal.
Yeah.
Like a journal is meant to be like super, okay, here, I can show this picture. I don't know if you can, let me make sure you can see this. Can you see it?
No.
Nope.
Where are we looking? Oh, yeah.
Okay, can you see it now?
Okay. So you guys, this is well, Katy, you explain.
Oh, that's me. Wait.
That's Katy.
Okay, let me tilt it so you can see. Can you see it?
Yeah. So this is like scrapbooking, but like way cool.
Yeah. So what I do is I get these like sheets in the mail. So I order them. So like this, like the music notes you see here, and like this like picture of these guys. Like that was actually a postcard from a restaurant I went to in New York.
So you clip them out and put them on.
I clip them out. This is an old book page that, so basically there's these sellers on Etsy that strictly sell like old book pages that were going to be just like thrown away. Or like some of the books honestly are like really politically incorrect. So just like horrible books that I get sometimes. And they're just like pages and they're like super bad.
Yeah.
They're just books that would have been like thrown away or burned or like anything. They sell the pages and I cut them up and put them in my books and like in my journals. And like it's super cheap. It's like $3. There's like all sorts of different ones. Like if you just search on Etsy, like old book pages or scrapbooking pages.
Yeah.
There's like a million.
Flea markets too. Well, not that we can now, but in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. There's a lot of questions on here. Wait, did we answer that question?
Journaling, like getting started.
Yeah.
I feel like
Pinterest and like
get a journal, step one.
Yeah.
I find that Muji, if you know MUJI, it's some sort of, I think it's either Japanese or something. It's super, I wouldn't say get your journal from there maybe, but like get your supplies from there. They have great tapes, like washi tape, like the cool tapes you put in there. And then also like pens and like really inexpensive supplies. I'd say go there for sure. And then
just like make a journal package together.
Yeah.
We make
the paper.
That would be
paper,
sick.
you need the tape, you need a pen, and you need a cool, and I'm coming out with merch this year, and I'm going to make journals.
Love that.
You heard it here first.
You guys, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. How do you turn on your brain for work in the morning when you're not actually leaving the house? That's a great question that I think is very challenging for sure. But Katy, what do you suggest?
How do I turn on my brain?
Katy's brain doesn't stop.
Honestly. No. So I would say like you kind of have to, I actually learned this from my days at L'Oreal, my corporate job. People always stressed like, so at L'Oreal, the culture was no one had a meeting. It was like illegal to have a meeting before like a certain time of day because everyone needs to come in and just sit at their desk and like get ready for the day, like mentally. And I loved that. I still adopt that now. It's like the second I open my eyes, I don't open my computer and look at my emails as hard as it is. I honestly will lay in bed and scroll on Instagram, but I find that that's like kind of therapeutic. Like it's not.
A little more mindless.
You know? So I guess just like kind of mindlessly entertain yourself, you know, eat breakfast, drink coffee, whatever your morning thing is. And I've, you know, when I was in New York, of course, now things are a little crazy, but I would like, you know, sit at my desk and just sip my coffee with my window open and play some music, or just like really ease into your day.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would say that's how I kind of get ready. I have a to-do list that I make every morning.
Yeah. So
I have like a
it's
living
your
room
wheels
to-do
turning.
list in my notes. Yeah. And just what I do is I even like, I'll get a sticky out and it always helps when I write, you know, things down, and I'll just like break it out by hour, like what I'll be doing, and add in like little fun breaks. Like I'd be like, when I was in the city, which I like get sad thinking about it. I'm like, okay, at 12 o'clock, right? At 12 o'clock when I'm done with this, this, and this, I get to go to the park. Like I'll go walk in the park.
Yeah. Oh, that's
You
awesome.
know, or something.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'd say, I mean, it's hard to turn your brain on because I feel like a lot of people rely on like the motion of getting in your car and like driving to the
Right?
office and like walking in and like turning on your computer, versus now we're literally just rolling out of bed, and depending on where you're working, it could be in your room in the same place you have your bed, or just in your living room. So I feel like regardless, it's so important to still get out of your house. So like for me in the morning, I always go on a few mile run and like do a workout, just getting fresh air.
Working out is great. Yeah.
Like, working out is like has saved my life and has just distressed me, and like kind of creates like a clean slate, and I just start the day in like a very like mellow mood. So I don't look at my emails either until I just get to my desk and like actually start my day.
Yeah.
But it's definitely challenging for sure. But you guys, as long as you start to create a schedule, and I would say like have a time you start your day as well. So even if like you're not working, I would still say like start your day at 10:30, or like start your day at 9 a.m. and just set up things for yourself to do and still keep your schedule, you know?
Yeah. But allow yourself to have some wiggle room, because like I'd get super like, just, you know, or what's the word? Just like really, I get really frustrated with myself if I couldn't complete all the to-dos in like, you know, an hour. You have to know, especially now, we're getting super distracted by the news and by just like, you know, the mood is so different now. So like be understanding with yourself if you can't do it all, because times are different, you know?
Yeah,
so
for sure. Okay, I like this one. How do you stay how did you stay motivated for your personal design work when you had a full-time agency job?
Sorry, my mom.
Hi, Mom.
My mom's turning on the light. She's like, it's dark in there. Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Turning on the light. Can you ask the question one more time?
Yeah. So when you had a full-time job, Mom.
I know. She's like, I don't want to get in it. I don't have my hair done.
So when you had a full-time job, how did you stay motivated to do your personal design work?
Oh God. I mean, it wasn't hard because I was more motivated to do my other stuff than my real job.
Yeah.
I was like rushing through my actual work to like get to my fun work. I guess just, it was tough because I had to make a lot of sacrifices. Did you ever feel like
creatively drained at the end of the day?
Oh yeah.
Or even just exhausted, and then you have like a whole nother job or
exhausted, and also just frustrated with myself because I just couldn't get it into my head that I couldn't admit to myself that I was overworked. You know, I was thinking,
I don't think any of us do. We just go.
You just, you know, power through it. But like, I was so overworked. I was just so burnt out. I even like I had to invest in like one of those like filming lights that I've never had to use because I've always filmed with natural light like through my whole career, until I had to start filming at night. And I had this like huge light set up. My apartment was just constantly a disaster because I had no time to like take care of myself.
Yeah.
So I think, but just to find motivation for your side hustle, I guess is a good way to put it. You know, the thing that ultimately will maybe grow into your real job. I'd say just you have to make some sacrifices, which is tough. Like there were certain where there was a fun thing happening and I couldn't go.
What a lot of people don't realize is like, I'm sure you can relate. Like we both had to make so many sacrifices, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't understood that either. I know like, I'm sure people in my social network are like, she like always ditches us or never comes around. But when you're starting your company, flaky or whatever, when you're starting your company, like you have to make really unfortunate sacrifices. And it's, if you're like a social butterfly, like when I was in high school and I got grounded, I'd be kicking and screaming and crying. And like, thank God I didn't have that addiction of being social now, because it would have been so much harder.
I know. I mean, especially doing this, I was doing YouTube in college. So there were days where I was like, my friends just didn't understand that I was like doing this job. They're like, Katy, that's not a job. Like, people are like, Katy says she's working, but she's not working. She's just making a video. I'm like, that is my, you have to get over the fact that people are going to not understand what you're doing.
And typically when someone doesn't understand what you're doing something right. And in like, give or take on that, but
depending,
yes,
situational.
Usually, yes, situational, but usually that's the case. If you're doing something a little crazy in your career, something that most people don't do, then you're gonna be on your way to doing something.
You're probably doing something right.
Bigger. Yeah. A lot of questions about burnout with creativity. Do you have any tips for people to get re-inspired when they're burnt out? I know we touched on that a little bit, but it seems like the most, like everyone, I have the issue too sometimes, like whether it's creativity or even just like burnt out.
I mean, of course, there's the whole element of just knowing when you need to take a break, knowing when you need to like just take a bubble bath and not think of things. But I also think just in terms of just creative burnout, I think what's really helped me is switching gears completely and trying something so foreign to you.
Yeah.
Like, you said I do calligraphy and stuff, which I do, but I haven't always. For a while it was just the videos, it was just graphic design. And then I stumbled across this creator on my Explore page last fall, and she was a New York City based calligrapher, and she did classes, like actual calligraphy, like with the, the pen and ink, and you could dip it in the inkwell and all that. And I was like, this is so interesting to me. I have absolutely no idea how to do that. I went by myself to a class on a Friday night. Instead of going out with my friends, I went to a calligraphy class by myself with 15 strangers in a room in New York, like in the upstairs of a Lululemon, like that was where it was. And I was so bad at calligraphy. Like, I went in thinking, I design people's tattoos. Like, there's no way I'm going to be bad at this. I was horrible. Like, I was so bad.
Really?
But I've since built on it. I learned that I like brush lettering. Like, I'm much better, because calligraphy is so different than hand lettering. What I was doing with my tattoos is not calligraphy. It's actually hand lettering. Calligraphy is a whole, very specific look and feel that I didn't know. I tried that, and now it's like just completely taken on a life of its own, and it's like really helped me think of new ways to create content. So I think just like doing something completely out of your comfort zone, and like you have the strength to allow yourself to be bad at something. I think that's what you have to do. It's uncomfortable, but like you have to kind of push yourself to try something and maybe be bad at it, but like at least it kind of gets your head thinking outside of what you normally think about.
Yeah, definitely. And like, even if you're bad at something and you don't like what it looks like, look for maybe a little piece of it that you do like and expand upon that. But if you're stuck too and creatively, for me, like I'm very inspired by interior design. I'm actually not as inspired by fashion. It's more so interior design that I get more. Like,
I love your interior posts. I love them.
I have like a corner that's like done. The rest is not done at all.
Well, you would not be able to know that from your story, from your social.
These are not even on the wall yet.
I'm like, I'm sure her home is just like impeccable at every angle. So
I wish. No. Okay. How did you I want to hear this one, because I am like in the boss role. So this is definitely towards you. I want to hear your feedback. How did you take criticism on your creative work from a boss?
Not well. I'll admit that. I'm like, well, okay. There's certain things I know I'm like not so good at. Like when someone critiqued, like I had to do a lot of number stuff at L'Oreal, which is not my strength. Like so bad. I had to take stat twice. Like I failed the first time. Like I'm not good at numbers.
Yeah.
Never have been. So when someone critiqued,
I got a C.
Right?
Yeah.
So when someone critiqued, like, oh, you should probably re-add that, or like, consider this number, I was like, okay, got it. Like totally. When someone critiqued like my creatively critiqued me, I could not handle it. I was like,
really?
They're like, can you change this, like redo this slide for this deck? And I'm like, but it's perfect. I think, here's how you get over it though. Like when you are criticized, every time, I feel like at L'Oreal, over a year and a half, I loved it because people were super critical. I didn't love it in the moment, but now looking back, I'm like,
Yeah.
thank God, because I needed someone to tell me that I wasn't all that in a bag of chips. Like, you know, I have some room to improve.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, so this sounds like so simple. This is like a funny little story. Like, so when you write an email, you know how you say like, dear so-and-so, and you comma, and then you indent like a full space to your next paragraph. For whatever reason in college, no one told me I was doing it wrong. I did like, dear Demi, comma, and then just like immediately after that started writing the full paragraph. Like, I didn't even know you're supposed to like indent after dear so-and-so. Someone at L'Oreal told me like, hey, Katy, like, it's so weird that you write your emails like this. And I'm like, light bulb goes on, and now I write my emails like in the correct way. But like, you need someone to tell you when you're just so obviously messing something up. Like, you need someone to tell you, and it sucks, but you have to like be open to that.
Yeah. I feel like it's a blessing in a weird way when you get criticized, because it actually takes a lot for someone to tell you straight up if you're doing something wrong. And usually those people that are going to tell you are very transparent, and they're looking out for you and are wanting to help you improve. And like as you know, managing other people, I constantly have to like provide feedback, and especially having like an all-female team, basically I have to do it very carefully. But you know, I think it's but like, you know, I try to tiptoe around it, but at the end of the day, every time I'm criticizing, I'm like trying to make them better, and like and I'll tell them based on my experience. If I don't know, that I'm not going to criticize, you know, but if I know and I want to help them, then I will. So it's like, it's good to have an open mind, still keep your creativity, like your creative branding, but try to evolve with like what someone gives you feedback about.
Right. And match their energy, I guess. You know, if someone's, you can tell the people, I mean, of course you manage so many people. I have an assistant that I manage, and, you know, I work with another designer that helps me with some stuff. And I find it just difficult. I'm just bad at giving negative feedback. I'll always phrase it like, I love the thought you had with this, but that's how I go into it.
No, that's perfect.
And I'm working on being more blunt, but I find that like, you know, I think there's a way to deliver feedback where someone can still respect you and understand what you're saying, and, you know, they won't make the mistake again. So
yeah, for sure. Always noticing like the positive first, and then showing them where they can improve is.
But then it's so funny because like I feel like everyone does that, and now when I'm like, so when I'm seeing an email from a client or something, everyone starts out, I just skim past the first
you're
sentence.
Like, give me like, straight up,
where's the negative feedback here, you know?
Okay, so many questions. Let me just go through a few more. This live is all about business, but this question is linked. Have you ever experienced guys being intimidated by your career achievements? I'm really struggling with this at the moment. Wait, I want to hear about like yours, obviously. I also want to hear about like what she's going through.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I guess is it the like intimidation element of like being a woman and having a career?
Bitch.
Like, I've definitely had like, this sounds so bad, and I hate that I'm even saying this, but I've been on like dates where I've totally downplayed what I do.
Me too.
Because I don't want it to come off too strong.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, even on my Hinge profile, it says I'm a graphic designer. Like, it doesn't even say I'm a business owner.
I used to change that too. Like, I changed that when I had Hinge too. I like put just like in the fashion industry, and people be like,
right?
I'm like, oh, I work for a fashion brand.
Because if you say something like entrepreneur, it's like that's their first question. They need to like, this is just speaking generally, I feel like guys always need to size themselves up. They're like, oh, does she make more money than me? Because if she does, then this isn't going to work, you know? And
have you felt like that's happened in the past when you've gone out with someone and like they've gotten to know you more as like being an entrepreneur and a boss?
Yeah. I mean, I've had situations where it's like people will, you know, they'll research kind of YouTubers and come to the table almost like with, you know, we'll do the formalities
like
of just
they do like a background search,
like almost kind of, but I feel like guys like don't really understand sometimes. But they'll be like, so, you know, like halfway through the day, it will be like things are fine, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, so I don't know if this is weird to ask, but like, how much do you make off of YouTube? Like, how much per video? And I'm like, that's happened to me. I kid you not, multiple times. I think it's mostly out of curiosity. Like, people are just
about
genuinely
like the
curious.
World.
But I'm not asking you how much you make a month.
Yeah,
like in finance, it's not right. It's just like, don't do what you wouldn't want someone, or I guess if you do want someone to ask you how much you make a month, that's not like first date material. Like, what the heck?
Oh my God.
I've had that happen
Hi.
numerous times. Like, just know that's not a first date question.
Yeah, boys, if anyone's listening, bye. Don't do that. So, okay, so I'm in the same field as the guy I'm seeing, and he always tries to one up me on achievements, etc. We run in the same professional circle, so he's very aware. Well, girl, you keep on trucking and you keep on being successful AF. And like who said above, Brianna, never downplay yourself. So,
Right.
yes, we may have, but later down the line, I can say maybe I've subtly gone into it, but quickly they know that like what I do, where I stand, and like how strong I am as a entrepreneur and like a business owner and just in the business world. But if the guy you're with, I don't know if I can constitute myself to be able to give guy advice. I mean, I guess so, but I will.
Yes, you can.
Sure.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so you're so.
I have to charge my phone. My phone's dying. Keep going. Keep talking.
This question is like, have you ever experienced guys being intimidated? Okay, so I've definitely experienced that, and like one guy that I dated was an entrepreneur, and it was challenging because I consider myself very ambitious. So, and I see a big picture. So if the person I'm with has a lot of opportunity in what they're doing, I'll suggest like, or like my vision will come alive for them. And I'm like, have you ever thought about this? Or like done this? And I think that may have gotten to like one of the people that I saw, and like, maybe it was like my success, and quickly that did not.
You compare
last.
Your success fully.
Yeah,
some people
never really thought that was going to be a thing in my life, but more so recently, I'm like, what the heck?
You need to surround yourself with people, and like that goes for dating too, that are not intimidated by your success, and that
no, you cannot.
Which is tough because
like
I feel like people are competitive. I'm super competitive too, but you have to know. I think with a relationship, it comes to a point where you just sometimes need to limit how much you talk about work with that person.
Yeah, that's a good
idea
like, too.
If your relationship is always just you're talking about work and talking about how much money you made this week and whatever, like it's just going to be toxic. Like you need to know when to separate your work chats with your significant other and you're just like, we're in a relationship, we're not competing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and even if you guys hear about each other in the workplace, if anything, it should be like a high five, you killed it, or like, yeah, I like, congratulate each other on the accomplishments, even if someone's better than the other. For me, I believe that like a strong relationship includes someone that's more so like your teammate. And if I'm killing it one day and then the other person's killing it even more than the next day, and then and it's back to me, whatever, or even if it's all them, still I'm supportive, and it's a supportive relationship, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And like to be able to have a strong team together is so important. And I think also too, if you haven't had the conversation with him before, maybe even just she should, talk to him about it and be like, I feel this way, and I'm, very passionate about my career and like my future here with my career, but also you. And if we have to separate that conversation or, that like that involvement with each other, then let's do that. Because like you obviously care about the relationship more than being competitive with each other, right?
Right.
So
yeah, that's just so tough because I feel like I'm reading the question again. I feel like you just honestly have to have a tough conversation because it's going to continue happening until you point it out. And you can't like just water yourself down for the comfort of someone else. That's not how an entrepreneur or business or whatever you're doing, that's not like just what's, good for your mental health. Like
especially
you should not
when like you're emotional towards someone, you almost want to like not be that best version of yourself in your career because you're nervous they're going to judge you or not like you as much. But you should never feel like that in a relationship. In fact, they should make you want to be even better than you were the day before or without them,
Yeah, and not scared to succeed. Like that's just, it's no way to live.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's do 2 more and then we're probably getting kicked off here soon. Okay, I really appreciate this conversation because I'm graduating from college this year and my boyfriend of 3 years and I are actually both going to work for the same company. Yeah.
Just limit your time. I mean, especially if you're working at the same company. Like I worked with some people at L'Oreal that were married, actually, like husband and wife that worked like on different teams, but still like the same beauty industry and everything. And I feel like, you know, just talking to them about it, it's like they don't talk about work at home.
Yeah.
Like they don't talk about it at all.
Yeah, just like turn it off when you leave the office. Call like
Yeah.
a coworker if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I agree. What are your tips for building personal brand?
So, I mean, of course, like coming from my perspective, I'm always like, you need to have a cohesive look and feel. You know, you need to have something that like, you know, you put something out and people can almost tell like, oh, Katy made this. You know, it has to, you know, you can evolve over time, but I think I've been doing some brand kits for people where I basically, you know, people that are starting out with even just like, you know, being a personal, like doing something personally, like not even like, you know, they're starting a business. It's just like personally their resume, cover letter, all that stuff, just like making everything look super cohesive. You know, come up with a logo, come up with a mission statement if you're, you know, creating an actual brand. But I think just, you know, knowing why you're doing what you're doing is always just super important.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't know there was like questions below.
Oh, like a question box?
Yeah.
I can't see it. Only you can see it, I think.
Do you miss a 9 to 5?
No.
Right?
I guess
I can't believe I've never had one.
Oh my God.
I know. I don't know what
Here's
it's
the thing.
like.
9 to 5s are not really 9 to 5s. They
Yeah.
are 8 to 7.
Yeah.
Like they should not be called 9 to 5s. Like
I know. I don't
in the,
understand.
like the beauty industry, at least. Like that was my experience. I worked a little bit in fashion. My internship was in fashion, like my sophomore year. But like I would say the one thing I do miss about working at L'Oreal 9 to 5 was I feel like I did stop working at some point, and I like logged off and was like, you know what, I'll deal with that tomorrow, you know. And now I feel like I almost can't do that.
Off. Yeah,
I can't let myself do it because there is no one else to really like, you know, it's only my fault. When something goes wrong, it's always just my fault because I work for myself and it's like basically just me and my assistant. But like at L'Oreal, it's like, oh, someone else can answer that email, or like there's a huge chain, like I can just, you know, clock out. But I feel like now I can't do that.
Yeah, so. No more. It's always on. All responsibilities on you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's do one more. I know I'm going to try to save this conversation. Instagram is the worst though when it comes to story saves, but I'm going to try to repost this after. I feel like we got a lot of good stuff in here.
I know. I want to remember like what we said because I feel like we're saying good stuff. People are giving us some great comments.
I know. You guys are awesome. Okay, do you feel like what do you think is going to change in your business after quarantine?
Demi, I'd love to hear this from you too. Just like how I was saying, like I just want to know how like the fashion industry is going to change after this, like what your predictions are. Because I've been seeing so many comments from people just like, I online shopped last night and I was talking about how everyone's having a sale right now, and someone DM'd me and was like, just wait till the end of summer. There's going to be like a huge need to get rid of, you know, clothes. And like, what do you, from your perspective, like what do you think is the COVID effect of like the fashion industry?
Well, there's a pretty big trickle down effect for sure. I mean, you can see Revolve stock has just plummeted. I mean, they're one of the only like lifestyle retailers that are public right now, so it's more visible for like the consumer to look at. But basically, a lot of the fashion industry produces overseas. We all know that, and you know, we all would love for production to be over here in the US. At the end of the day, it's so much more expensive, which will drive up prices for consumers who won't be happy. So yes, a lot of our production is overseas, and as you guys know, Corona started overseas. So we've been seeing like production facilities closed out since January. So when we're trying to do orders and new cuts of different pieces, production was completely at a standstill. I mean, everyone was in their homes like we were, and a lot of them still are. And so just from like that flow of inventory, like you guys can see online, we've sold out so fast. We put things on pre-order, and fortunately we are going to be able to get things back in, but you know, we can't get it as fast because not only are most of the places closed, but a lot of them have limited workers, so things are moving a little bit slower. But on top of that, I mean, there's so many effects. Retail, brick and mortar stores. So, you know, if you shop at like Everlane,
Right.
yeah, Everlane has their brick and mortar stores, or all of Forever 21, which is already going bankrupt, Urban Outfitters, all of these big stores have brick and mortar locations. And that's why you're seeing so many sales too, is because all of those locations need to get off the inventory that were in those stores. So, you know, it's
Jeez.
pretty, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And it's really sad, but fortunately there is the online aspect, which is also very helpful. But a lot of the jobs people have in fashion are in real life, or not real, in real life, in person, you know, in person, in stores. So a lot of people are losing their jobs from that. But you know, I hope I think that we'll probably see a lot more manufacturing in the US actually, which will be really good. And then you know, production will open back up and jobs will start coming back again, but it's been pretty crazy. Fortunately, we're online, which is great, but you know, we were going into festival season. So for those of you guys that haven't tried before, Coachella is our Christmas. So we had launched our campaign for a festival, and 3 weeks later, I'm like waking up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. like, Coachella's gonna be canceled. Oh my God. And really, that's not the biggest issue at hand here, given we have a pandemic now. But in that point of time, I was like, oh my God, like our whole business is gonna just like crumble.
Right.
Then,
no, I mean, because people are like, but you guys, I mean, you guys have such great loungewear, like what you showed at the beginning.
I mean, we did.
Which is nice.
We worked fast.
People are buying that.
Yes, we got very lucky. We worked really fast. But, you know, like big companies that have purchased like a year in advance for all their inventory.
Right.
All of their, I mean, I'm really giving you guys the nitty gritty of the industry right now. It's like, that's realistic of it, is a lot of big companies can't pivot and change their whole strategy overnight because all of their dollars
and they
are
have all
locked
this
in.
clothing. Yeah, I was on Revolve, and like usually I see a ton of stuff sold out on there. Like, and I was like, oh gosh.
They can't
like, and they have like all these like, you know, evening wear edits, and like, I'm like, oh my God. Like,
oh, it's bad. So yeah, and those no one can shoot. So as you guys have seen, there are a lot of selfies on 12th Tribe right now.
But I've seen it on other sites too. But like, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like photo shoots are going to be so like, even when this kind of ends, I feel like it's going to be like just the photographer and one model and like someone throwing, you know, a shirt at them, like, you know.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, like our whole team is working from home. And for you guys who haven't shopped 12th Tribe before, we have loungewear right now. It's affordable. You're supporting a small business.
It's comfortable.
It's comfortable. But yeah, we're all working from home and just doing content literally in my living room. So that's just grand.
You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, girl. We're about to launch a new website, so that'll be helpful. Cool. All right. Let's see. I think, yes, our time's going to just be up. So before we lose this live, thank you so much for joining me on here today. It was such a pleasure to finally talk to you in basically person.
It's been so nice talking to you. I feel like we had such a good chat that like really hopefully inspired some people, motivated some people.
Let's do it again. I feel like everyone
anytime
felt real inspired. I'm going to start doing a founder series on IG and other areas talked about later. But yeah, thanks you guys for joining us today. Hopefully all those questions you felt were beneficial and motivating in some sense. Make sure you guys go check out Katy. Her handle is below. I don't think it's linked, so you'll need to type it into your Instagram, but you can go check out all of her amazing content and branding. Go get a tattoo of her handwriting, tag her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to repost this after, and hopefully it'll save so we can share it on our IGTV. But yeah, thanks everyone. And thanks so much for joining.
Bye, Demi. See ya.
See ya.